to get close, but I'm about 30 seconds late on this start of this broadcast. Had to go grab the other watch and grab a glass of water, and all those things take a little bit of time. And I also did not turn on my background lights, and I'll do that next. But on this start. There we go. Okay, so I've got that going, and 7 people have popped in so far. So let me just go ahead, and while they're getting in, let me turn on my background lights. Okay, I'm going to move that over into the corner. There we go. And turn that puppy on. There we go. And let's see here. We've got Antique Finder. Hi, mister. There we go. And we don't have any of the wrench gang in the house yet, so we're going to be keeping an eye out for the wrench gang coming in. In the meantime, I've got, let me see here. I've got the Grand Seiko Stunner here standing by, just in case we need it. And there were a lot of comments on the video that I put up about this watch, about the titanium. Some people saying that the titanium scratches easily. Not this alloy that Grand Seiko uses. This is tough stuff. And it's evidenced by the fact that the clasp, which is actually stainless steel, does have a fair number of scratches, a lot more scratches than the titanium portions of the watch. Titanium portions of the watch are holding up a lot better, and this is after 10 months of heavy use. So there was another comment on one of the forums, one of the Facebook groups, and Carlos is in the house. Hello. Let's see that, Tiffany. There you go. So there was a comment about Rolex watches holding their value, being very liquid. In other words, you can easily sell them anywhere in the world. You know, all these glamorous comments about Rolexes basically being great investments, and he used the term investments. And I put the comment in there. I said, it really is not that easy to sell these watches and do well to make a profit. You have to buy low and sell high, and so many times people buy high and sell low. And it's the same thing with traders in stocks. A lot of these people that are day traders and so on, the vast majority of them lose money. It's a small percentage of the people that actually make money, and generally the money is made, just like in real estate, the money is made on the buy. You got to get a really good buy on that item, and then you can turn around and sell it and make a profit, because there are expenses involved in doing all that as well. Anytime you buy and sell something, there are typically expenses involved, and there are risks involved, and so you have to weigh all of these things. So it's not so cut and dry that I'm going to buy a watch for $5,000 and I'm going to sell it for $6,000 and I just made $1,000. You may or may not have made $1,000. You might have to pay a commission on the sale. You might have to ship it and pay some money. You might even insure it, and that costs money when you ship it. So you got to take all of these things into account, and it's not always so easy to find that buyer, and a buyer that you can trust. So we're going to talk about those things, and we're going to talk about collecting watches. We're going to talk about investing in watches. We're going to talk about just buying watches just to use them. So those are 3 kind of use cases, right? You can buy watches just to use them. You can invest in watches because you think they're a good store of value. You think they're going to go up in value over time. Or you can buy and sell. You can trade watches, right? And try to make money that way. So, so yeah, these are the things we're going to discuss, and we're going to show some of your watches if you'd like to show them. And we can talk about your collection if you'd like. Let's see here. Wearing a suit on a Saturday afternoon. Actually, this is just a sport coat. This is one of my favorite. I had this on briefly yesterday, and I've forgotten how comfortable it is. This is a summer weight cashmere, and this has enough room in the sleeve for me to wear the French cuffs. So I figured I'd put the French cuffs on, and I figured I'd unbutton a couple of these buttons on the surgeon's cuffs, and just kind of relax here in a very comfortable cashmere sport coat while I do the show today. So I figured that's what I would do. Do you recommend keeping guard dogs on premises? See, that's the other thing. Yeah, you need security. If you have a bunch of expensive watches in inventory, right? That's the other thing you got to worry about, is you got to worry about security. And insurance. If you insure the watches, it's not cheap to insure an expensive watch. It can be hundreds of dollars a year to insure one watch. Let me know in the comments if you guys have an expensive watch that you're insuring and how much you're paying for that insurance, that rider for that. Let's say it's a $30,000 watch. You know how much you're paying. Right, that is more gambling than investing, Carlos says. I'm a very experienced seller, so I don't buy anything I don't intend on keeping. I'm a very inexperienced seller. Okay, good. Well, good move. You're so right, Craig. All these watch heads claiming they always profit from a watch. Yeah. The trick is to get a really good deal on a watch. That way, if you sell it, you at least break even. Yeah, here's the problem, though. If you break even, depending on how long you had that money tied up, that money wasn't making you any money. If it was in a real investment, right, it would be giving you a return. And I always use the example that a good quality investment, your money should double every 7 years. So let's say you bought a watch for $5,000 today, and 7 years later, you sold it for $5,000, and you say, oh, geez, great, I didn't lose any money. Well, that $5,000 should have doubled to $10,000 if it was invested in real investments. So you actually lost $5,000 is what you lost. So people don't do that math sometimes. So let me know in the chat if you guys have insurance on your expensive watches and how much that costs you. I'd like to get some numbers. And let me know what kind of watches you have in your collection, or if you're buying and selling watches, let us know what watch you've got for sale. This is your chance to talk up your watch a little bit too. So that's the thing. And let me see here if we can get this stunner focused in here. I'm going to try to focus in close on this stunner, and then I'll switch cameras. Let's see here. There we go. And you can see that second hand just kind of smoothing along there. It's hard to keep it in exact focus, but it's just kind of just smoothing along there on this Grand Seiko diver. Pretty cool to watch that second hand go around, isn't it? And that watch is not an investment. That watch is a watch that I wear and use. I just put up my video, and we talked the other day about 10 months of heavy use. That watch has been through 10 months of heavy use. The rule of 72, there you go. No insurance, but bought a $5,000 safe 2 years ago. I bolted it to the floor. That weighs 2,000 pounds. True Liberty. The safe weighs 2,000 pounds? Wow. I had a safe that was about 450 pounds and before you put anything in it. And I put a bunch of old, you know, the all copper pennies in it for weight. That was back when you could get the pennies that were all copper. I don't have that safe anymore. So let's see here. I bought the Rolex Batman at retail, $89.50. You think in 14 years I can double or triple? Right now I can sell for $11K. No problem, but I'm holding now. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I mean, I think we're at the top of the market. I would sell it immediately in a heartbeat. I would take that profit and go and move along. So you have not realized the profit until you sell it. That's why I hear a lot of these people that have these watches that are flying high right now, and they talk about how much money they've made, but they haven't sold the watches. So you haven't made anything. So if we have an adjustment in the market, which I think will happen maybe in 6 months or so, maybe a year, but we're going to have a big adjustment in the market, it's going to be very difficult to sell that watch for that profit. And so your profit might turn into a nice healthy loss. So, but to answer your question, no, I can pretty much say it's not going to double in 7 years, and it's not going to triple in 14 years. No, that's not going to happen. Just historically, that just doesn't happen with watches. There are very few that do well. The Daytonas, a few of them, a few of the older subs, if you'd have bought one and held on to it that long. But again, if you'd have bought, you know, some real investment that many years ago, you would have probably even had a better return than on most of those watches. Even most of the watches that give the best return ever, most of them probably would not compete with just the stock market, just the S&P 500. The returns on that over time, the returns on that have been huge. Like if you invested 40 years ago, right, the return is significant. So watches, generally speaking, are not good investments. Okay, Abraham Lincoln deserves to be on the $100 bill, not the penny. Well, some people weren't big fans of Abraham Lincoln. I'm not a big federal government guy, so I probably wouldn't have been a fan of him. I'm more for states' rights. I think the states should have the majority of the rights, and I think the feds should have a minimum amount of the authority. I think that's what the founders had in mind when they first formed this country. They wanted the states to be pretty powerful because they wanted people to be able to vote with their feet. If I didn't want what was going on in Maryland, I could go to Pennsylvania if they were doing a better job, right? And so it was a competitive thing between the states, which is a good thing. When everything's the same all over the whole country, then you take that away. So Nautilus. Yeah, I don't think a Nautilus, if you bought a Nautilus today for the prices that you have to pay for it, I seriously doubt in 7 years it will double in value. I think you'll probably take a bath on it because those are really hyped up and they're not a very good watch. They're not very attractive. They don't have much going for them. So I think the market on those is definitely going to crash. So yeah, I'd take my profit on those puppies for sure. But look at people who bought Rolex, GMT, Pepsi, or Coke in the 90s can get a big return now. Run the numbers on it, Joey. Run the numbers on it. Okay, what they would have paid, what their return would be, and you'd be surprised. It might not be that good a return. It might not have doubled every 7 years. Remember, when you double every 7 years, that's powerful. You know, you take 5,000, you make it 10. Then you make it 20,000. Then you make it 40,000. Then you make it 80,000. It grows exponentially, right? So, yeah, run the numbers on it. Most of them are not making money. And a lot of the times you hear about watches selling for a real high price, like at an auction house or something like that. And that's an anomaly a lot of times. It's not normal. It's not. It doesn't mean that you, like my friend has a red sub that I sold him. Okay, and it's in pretty good shape. I mean, it's not. It's been around the block, right? Could he get 30 grand for it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he could get 30 grand for it. And he bought it from me in like around 1982. And so that's a long time. That's a lot of years. And I forget what he paid for it. It was probably like $500 or something. I probably sold it to him for. I don't remember now. But if you took $500 and you doubled it, and then 7 years later doubled it again, then 7 years later doubled it again, right? You get up to a lot of money pretty quick. So it might not be, even though he's got a red sub, first of all, can he really get the 30 grand for it? And maybe he can only get 20, right? So it's not so cut and dry, folks. Craig, when are you buying a date? I don't know. That's a good question. That's a really good question. I'm thinking about it. Can't blame Lincoln too much. He had the Civil War to deal with. Well, that's kind of what the Civil War was about, was the feds stepping on the states. I think that's primarily what it was about. Everybody says it was about slavery, but I don't buy that. I think it was more states' rights. I think had a lot to do with it. I'll put it that way. So there's that. If you got a Nautilus now at MSRP 29.8, you could flip it for upper 40s to low 50s. Maybe you could. Again, don't believe all those prices that you see. And some of them are asking prices. That doesn't mean it actually sells for that. And again, that's not really investing in watches. That's speculating on watches. If you're buying it to flip and you're getting a low price and you can almost immediately resell it, that's not really like an investment. Investment implies a long-term return. This is more like buying and selling. This is flipping. This is dealing in watches. And that's a horse of a different color. And again, it's very competitive. First of all, it's difficult to get the watch in the first place. And then you've got to find a buyer. And there are risks involved in all that. So it's not all real cut and dry. Blue sent you an email. There we go. Let's see if we can get Blue in the house. Let me pull up my Gmail here. See if I can make this happen. Live television, it's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting, exciting, exciting. All right, so let me get his email here first of all. Get this set up. And he sent the Earthlink address. I would have rather had a Gmail address, but I'll try to make this work. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Oh, what is happening? Oh boy. Stand by here. I'm trying to make this happen. Let me do something different here. I'm going to do one. I'm going to invite the Clivester, and then I'll send him the link to this one. Oh, I'm calling two people. Uh-oh. I don't know who else I'm calling here. All right, so let me get this, copy this link, and send this to Blue. Okay, and I'm going to say...
Hello, Craig.
Apply. Oh, wait, I think he might be in. Let me see. Did I hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me, Craig?
Okay, yeah, hold on a second here.
No worries.
All right, and I'm inviting Blue in also.
Cool.
So you're in the UK, right?
Yeah, I'm in the UK, mate.
There you go. And you got your watch handy?
Yeah, which one do you want to have a look at?
What do you have handy?
Right, just give me a sec, Craig.
Yeah, take your time. So I just sent the link also to Blue. And hopefully he'll be coming. Anybody else want to come in, send me an email. I'll send you the link. Let's see here. Do you think the Paul Newman Daytona sold so high because of hype, or is it really worth millions of dollars? Well, it's a one-of-a-kind special thing, and they're collectors that want that sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean, Paul Newman's watch. I mean, come on. So that happens. But again, that's an anomaly. That's not a normal type thing that most people can count on having happen with their watches. Let's see here. Yeah, bracelet is trashed on the Paul Newman. Okay, whatever that means. And Blue, did you get that link? I sent that link for you to come in to the Hangout. Hopefully he'll get it and get on in. I just emailed it to him. And meantime, we've got another guest in the house that's going to be showing a watch here in a second. He's getting things set up on his end. How's
that? Is that all right, Craig? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, point the camera down so it's centered on you, or can you turn it horizontal? Yeah, that's better.
Is that better?
Yeah, and yeah, just sit up straight if you can, and just hold the camera at you, and then show us what you got, and tell us what you got when you get that situated.
Right, I pulled one of my favourite watches out. I love this.
And when you show this, put your hand behind it so that it focuses on it. Go ahead and get it up there. But before I switch to you, I'm going to wait until you get it all situated.
Can you see that?
Yeah, and don't point towards the light. Point away from the light, because when you point towards that light, see that light in the mirror? I don't want you pointing towards that. Pivot away.
Try and get a better lighting for us.
Yeah, you don't want light in the shot. You want light behind you, not in front of you. Okay, Craig, I'm looking at the Batman, a watch I can enjoy and sell in 10 years, hopefully double my money. Really can't see this watch tanking price. Yeah, that's real risky, Joey. You're going to lose your butt on that one. Yeah, you're going to lose your butt. That's not going to double in value.
What's that, the Batman? No.
Yeah, it's not going to double in value. From where it is now, it's not going to double. You better off doing a real investment. Okay, let's see what you got. Hold it up there in front of the camera.
This is one of my favourite watches. Can you see that?
I can't see it at all. Hold it in front of the camera. All I'm seeing is you. I'm not seeing the watch. There we go. Yeah, put it right in front of the camera. And
love this watch.
Yeah, it's just not focusing on it. You don't have another hand to put behind it because you're holding the phone with your hand.
Yeah.
We got to get we got to get a tripod mount for you, something which you can mount that phone on. Can you set the phone down on something, and then I'll wait for you to recompose. Just set the phone down and lean it against something so that you don't have to hold it. And then you can hold the watch in front of it and put your hand behind it so that we can get a nice clear shot.
Yeah. Is it too strong, the light?
Don't worry about the light. Just get something to lean the phone on, like a book or something.
Does that look better?
No. Get like a book or something that you can set the. You can't be holding the camera with one hand and the watch with the other. That's not going to work. You got to set the phone down and lean it against something
Yeah.
so that you can then hold the watch in front of the camera. Live TV, folks. We're just coaching him along here. Why would somebody get a steel ceramic Daytona for $20K when a gold Daytona isn't that much more? They're speculating, Noel. They're speculating. They're hoping that it's going to go up in value and they're going to get burned. Craig, Archie, Clive, and Mark Goldberg traveled together to Basel. Would be highly entertaining. Yeah, Basel's kind of like a losing proposition these days. Oh, good. Now hold your hand right behind the watch. Put your other hand right behind the watch, flat. And hold it right in front of the camera. Yeah, as steady as you can. There we go. All right, now tell us what model that is.
That's the Bellmatic.
The Bellmatic.
Seiko Bellmatic.
Yeah.
I love this watch.
Yeah.
It's a lovely watch.
Yeah, I had one of those.
Oh.
That was one of my first watches in like 1970 or so.
Yeah, I think
a
this one's
Seiko.
about 1970.
Yeah, I had a Bellmatic. That was one of my first watches.
It's one of my favourite watches, Craig. I love it.
Well, there you go. A Seiko Bellmatic from about 1970.
And it's in good nick as well. It's in spotless condition.
Where'd you find that one?
I bought this from Japan. Got it from a dealer on eBay from Japan.
Okay. Cool.
Didn't pay a lot for it either, really, considering.
Yeah.
But it's a great watch. It's a great watch.
Yeah, they're cool. That was one of my first real watches. My dad brought it back from Japan, brand new, and I wore it for a couple of years. Hello, Craig. Hello, Craig. I live in Geneva. Did you receive my email concerning the rumors of the sale of Patek to Rolex? We're doing an IPO. I've heard a lot of rumors about that sort of thing, but I don't remember seeing your email. I'm sorry about that, but I've heard rumors about that. It's a good question as to whether or not that's going to happen. Looks as the only company I trust to run Patek well. Well, there you go. All right. Well, what else do you have for us from the UK?
I'm wearing this bad boy, but it's probably not your sort of thing. It's a
Moonwatch, right?
Yeah, it's not a speedy though. It's the Bolivar one. It's the high Mecca quartz. It's accurate to within, I think, about 10 seconds a year.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
it's pretty accurate.
Nothing wrong with that.
But I like it.
Craig, your view on Swatch watches? I don't have any Swatch watches.
Some of them are really cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy one personally because I wouldn't wear it. So there's no reason for me to buy one. I doubt that a Rolex.
They're more of a fashion watch.
Yeah.
But they're a great watch.
I would buy just like a Day-Date or something for that purpose or something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy one of those. All right. So hey, thank you for coming in from the UK. I'm going to let you go for now.
No problem, Craig. Thank you again.
And get in the chat and let us know what's going on. And do you have a wrench yet?
No, I don't. No.
Do you want a wrench? Get in the chat and ask for a wrench, and we'll get you a wrench.
Yeah, lovely.
All right.
Bring it on.
Thank you. Craig. Thank you, my friend.
That.
Yes.
Nice one.
Let's see. Craig, what kind of monitor earbuds are you using? They're just some cheap, I don't know what make they are. They're just some cheap earbuds. Let me see. I don't even have the name on them. I can take them out now that I don't have a guest. If I have a guest, I have to use them. I was wearing the Sony headphones, but those, if I wear them for a while, they're not that comfortable. So the earbuds are a little bit more comfortable. I don't like wearing either, to tell you the truth, but when I have a guest, I have to be able to hear them. So I don't know why Blue didn't come in. Sent him the link. Okay, and here's some more photos to share. Let me pull these up. Okay. All right, here we go. Here's some photos to show that Blue sent. Oh, look at the Omega. That's nice. There's his gold Omega. And again, I'm not a big fan of those lugs, where the lugs look like they're kind of like stuck on the case as opposed to flowing into the case, like the snowflake next to it. See how the snowflake, how everything just kind of flows together? So the Omega's cool, but it wouldn't be my cup of tea. Let's see. Let's take another picture he sent. There's a GMT. That looks like a steel and gold GMT stunner. Okay. And let's see what else we got here. Oh, imagine that. There's my gold stunner. He wears it on his right wrist. I don't think I could wear a watch on my right wrist. I always wear them on the left wrist. But there you go. Doesn't look as gold in that picture. The gold looks kind of washed out a little bit. But he put a different strap on it. So that was kind of neat. So that's the gold stunner in the hands of the new owner, on the wrist of the new owner. And he loves it. He's tickled pink with it. Blue, I will come in a few. I emailed you some photos. Yeah, I just showed them. Craig, I realized you already covered this, but which model Sony camera body do you recommend? Hi, I'm back. Andrew. Andrew, let me know if you would like a wrench. Evening, Craig. After yesterday, I put on Granddad's Air King and wore it all day. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that Air King is cool. Do you use a bank or credit union? I have a couple of accounts with Bank of America and one with SunTrust Bank, but I don't use a credit union. Okay, Sony camera body. If you want to go crop sensor, I've got the A6500 is this camera shot right here, straight on to me, the A6500, and I've got the Sony Zeiss 24mm f 1.8 lens on there, which is a very nice lens. And the nice thing about the A6500 is it's got the 5-axis stabilization built into the camera body, because that lens is not stabilized. But it does a pretty good job even with handheld video because of the in-camera 5-axis stabilization. So the A6500 is a good camera, but I would wait and see. The rumor is in the next month or so they're going to come out with an update for that camera. So I would wait for a month or two to see what they come out with, if you can wait. If you want to go full frame, I use the A7S Mark II. But again, there's going to be an update imminent within the next month or two for that camera. It's going to be updated because it's been out like 3 or 4 years now. So I wouldn't buy that. I'd wait for the update for sure on that one, because it's been even longer than the A6500. But that's the two I'm using right now, the A6500 and the A7S Mark II is the other one I have. A couple more photos of the new GS Stunner. Okay, we're going to give Andrew a wrench. There you go. He's going to get a wrench. And now let's look at this. Let's look at the photos of the Stunner.
I can see it, Craig.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. That's looking pretty fantastic there. See, that fits nicely on his wrist. I think his wrist is a little bit smaller than mine. I think he said it's about 7-inch wrist. Mine's between 7 1/4 and a 7 1/2, depending on the weather. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Now let's take a look at this other photo. Oh, he did get the clasp on the new strap. Cool. See, he was able to move the clasp over to the new strap that he got. And it looks pretty good. Does it stay centered on your wrist okay? And Blue, let me know if you want a wrench. I'll give you a wrench. Oh yeah, the clasp is stunning. So let me know in the chat if you want a wrench, and we'll give you a wrench, because we need reinforcements in the wrench gang here. So yeah, that's looking stunning. That strap worked out great. How did you know the correct size? It looks like it. Now I can't see where the strap. I can't see, where the buckle actually hooks to the strap. If there's any play there, if that's the correct width there, you'd have to open that buckle up for me to see that. But from what I'm looking at there, it looks pretty good. Okay, so we'll give Blue a wrench. There we go. 18 millimeter. The gold stunner is looking great. Yeah. Yeah, looking good on wrist. Let me get that wrist shot again. That's looking good on wrist. I'm going to check something else on another subject. I meant to check this. Just give me a second here. Hopefully I can do this pretty quick. And love the strap. And thanks for Craig letting me know that I could add it on. Yeah, you want that buckle. You definitely want to move that buckle from strap to strap. That's the good thing about it. About having that. Let's see here. I'm trying to find something here. Oh, I'm sorry. I clicked on the wrong thing. See what happens. This watch is a one and done for life, Craig. Blue's going to wear that puppy. That is a lifetime watch. Craig, your top choice for cotton polo style shirt. Craig, watches this time like subprime mortgages at the end of the last cycle. Once a recession starts, this bubble will pop. Yeah, it's going to be nasty. I would take the profits now, folks. I called you, Craig, and I did see you, but you did not see me. Oh, were you in the Hangout? If you were in the Hangout, go back in. I wasn't watching. I'm looking at something else right now. Go back in the Hangout, and let's see if we can get you on the air here. So go back in. I just didn't see you because I wasn't looking. If I'm not looking, I wouldn't see you. I got the Hangout window up right now, and I'm looking at it. So if you pop in, we'll be able to bring you into the show. So yeah, I think buying a watch to actually use is probably a good move, and sell all the ones for the profits and take those profits. Okay. All right, yeah, it looks like he's in the house now. Let me get my headset on so I can hear you. Stand by. Hello there.
Hello, Craig. How are you?
Good, good. Now, should I refer to you as Blue or by your actual name?
Oh, you can call me whatever you call me. Blue. That's
Blue.
Okay. My.
We'll call you Blue. We'll call you Blue. Hold that watch up. Is it on your wrist? There you go. There it is on wrist. I think it looks good. I like the size. And I like the strap, but I have to be honest with you. I tend to like the alligator straps better, personally. I just think
the alligators are nice.
I just think, but you need to get it so that it's centered. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the one with that. But this is a very comfortable strap, and I love the brown on the gold. It looks fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and comfort's important because you're going to be wearing it almost every day, right?
I will, and it's something I'm going to keep. It's just beautiful. And I sent you some photos earlier.
Yeah, we showed them.
Yeah, those are some that I had that I sold. So I don't have those anymore, except for I still have the Omega.
Okay, yeah. That's a keeper, yeah, because that's a sentimental.
That's a sentimental item, yeah. So, who else was on your show? You had somebody else earlier. They were showing some watches
A gentleman from the UK that, yeah, he's a regular.
from the UK.
Yeah, and he was
Yes,
just dropping in to show.
yeah. This is definitely a watch for life. I'll tell you what.
Well, it's going to hold up well because that 9F movement is robust, very durable. And about every 3 years or so, you'll switch out the battery, and that's about all you'll have to do to that puppy.
Yeah, I have a little set of screwdrivers that should fit the screws back here.
Now,
So
be
we should
very, very careful, especially the first time you do it.
Yeah,
Be very, very careful because you don't want to damage those screws.
yeah. I was thinking about that. I figured that would be something just to go very slow and careful with, because if you
Yeah,
ruin that, you're in
make sure
trouble.
you get a screwdriver that really fits in there just like it's made for it, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
So I'm glad we did the deal, and I really tell your viewers it was very professional throughout. You communicated and everything. That's what you hope for when you buy something like this.
Yeah, it went very smoothly, and you got a watch you really like, and now I got to figure out what I'm going to get next.
Now that's the thing. We have to figure out what you're going to get next. So
That's right.
That's going to be good discussion.
And I was actually talking to Steve today about some watches, some 9F movement watches. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'll probably be getting something else with the 9F movement. I haven't decided what.
Now I actually sent you some pictures. If you check your email one more time,
Uh-huh.
I have photos on wrist of the entry level GS 9F models with a date.
Mm-hmm.
They're very nice, and I was about to get one of those, but I chose to get this gold one instead. But if you pull the photos up, you'll see they're very good. They were sent to me from the dealer, from a Grand Seiko dealer that I was
Yeah,
inquiring
the
with.
37 millimeter one.
7mm ones. Yeah, those are very
Yeah.
nice.
Now, is that the one, does that have the screw down crown or not? Because some of them do and some of them don't.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a
good question.
good looking watch. Is that the one that's $2,200?
Yeah, retail is 2,200. I think
I
on
think
eBay,
they do not have the screw down crown, but that's not the end of the world if you're using it for dress purposes. Your gold one doesn't have a screw down crown either, but if you're using it as an all-arounder, then I would get, they have a more expensive one that's up around 3,000 something that does have the screw down crown.
yeah, they have a sport model. I think I have a picture of that I could send you too. But
Yeah.
yeah, so they,
Yeah, they make some interesting models. I'll tell you though, it's really hard for you to beat that 18 karat gold stunner.
you really can't.
I mean, I did a lot of research before I picked that puppy up, and as you know, I took a risk buying it from Japan, but I thought it was worth taking the risk, and it turned out it was, because that's really a one of a kind watch. There aren't any others that are all 18 karat gold that have a good looking case shape and design like that. Some of the other ones that are older units and all, they have the kind of bulbous looking cases,
Yeah,
and they just
yeah.
don't look as good. They look like something from like the 60s or something, or the 70s or something. Yeah, they just don't look classy.
They look a little bit dated, and you know, I'll tell you what. There's charm in this watch, in the gold stunner. There's a lot of the shine of the gold is fantastic.
Oh, it
In
looks,
person,
it looks stunning on wrist. When the
Yeah.
light catches it and all, it just really, there's just nothing like 18 karat gold, especially when it's that real 18 karat gold color, not this rose gold junk that they're selling now.
Right, and it looks good in the sunlight too. That was pretty stunning.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you one more picture if that's okay.
Sure.
It's gonna show you, show the viewers because I had the Grand Seiko with the screw down crown. So I'm gonna send you a picture of that.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And a lot of people are saying that they wear their watches on their left hand, even though they're lefties. I'm a lefty. I wear mine on my left hand. Why do you wear yours on your right hand?
I think. Well, I'm wearing it on the left right now.
Okay, so you switch back and forth.
Yeah, it really didn't. To me, it's not a big thing. It's whichever one I put it on. I
You're
don't think it-
ambidextrous on the watch thing. So
Yeah.
somebody said, "Why don't I just go ahead and buy the day date already?" I don't do things hastily. I measure 7 times and cut once.
Yeah, it's over. It's a big purchase.
Yeah, I buy watches that I really like, and I do a lot of research on it before I pull the trigger because I always assume that I'm going to have the watch for a very long time. You know, the only reason I sold this one is you approached me, and it just felt good to do a deal, and we just went ahead and did a deal. But I was planning on keeping it indefinitely, and I do that with all my watches. So I'm not going to hastily move in and just buy something, especially when the market's kind of hot right now. I'd like to buy in a soft market. You know, I'd like to wait for a little pullback when the market gets real soft, and then my money will go a lot further, right? So
As a player, it's market to buy.
yeah,
Looking at Rolex.
yeah,
to buy.
it's a little bit hot right now. So
Yeah. I sent over just now. It's a picture. See, I had all these watches at one time, and I did sell them all. And the last one in the middle was the sports model I just sent you. And
so
that was,
you did a little bit of consolidating.
yeah, I got rid of, again, I really liked the Grand Seiko. And I had at one time that Rolex that I showed you a picture of. And I just fell in love with the Grand Seiko. And I
Yeah.
sold the Rolex and I went to Grand Seiko. And I did not like the bracelet on the Rolex. It felt very cheap, quite honestly.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't like the case shape of the Grand Seiko that you have in the middle there.
Yeah.
That case shape is not my favorite. The
It was-
case shape on the one on the bottom is my second favorite. My first favorite would be the case shape that they have on like the Snowflake, the more
Yeah.
curved case shape. There's a lot of Grand Seikos that I just don't particularly like the case shape on. Some of them are just kind of too squared off, and they just, I don't know, they just don't have that look, and that's why I really like that one. In the diver that I have, I like the case shape on it. It's got a nice shape to it. It curves to the wrist. I mean, they got it pretty much right. Some of the watches they don't really get it right, if you ask me.
I like your too. I've seen one of those in person.
The
There's a
diver.
plate- Yeah, I've seen those in person. There's a shop that I went to in Las Vegas. They sell Grand Seiko.
Mhm.
And I had a chance to look at all of them, including the new ones. There's a quartz model with the rice bracelet.
Yep.
It has a little star in the middle of the dial.
Yeah, that was a limited edition. Yeah.
Yeah, that one looked pretty good in person. It actually did. And the one next to
I
it,
saw one. I saw one of those too. That would definitely be a front runner for me if I wanted an all arounder.
yeah. Well, that looked very good in person, and I liked the diver. It was very, very impressive in person.
Yeah.
And I like titanium too, because you want something that's nice and light.
Yeah, it's super comfortable on wrist. Yeah.
Yeah, the one I showed you in the picture in the middle, that was a little chunky and heavy on the wrist.
Okay, so I got a question, hey Craig. Do you think that that a GS will hold its value? They don't do terribly. They do halfway decent. If you get a good discount on it when you buy it new, you will do pretty good. I mean, I could probably sell my diver for about what I paid for it. I mean, you're not going to make money on any of these watches, and watches are not investments. But if you have to sell it, you can get some money out of a GS. I highly recommend that if you've got financial worries of any kind, I would not buy a high-end watch. It should be disposable income. It should be extra money that you put into a luxury item like that, money that you can afford to lose. and that is not going to worry you in any way, shape, or form. If you're worried about the money you have in your watch, I would suggest that it might be a good idea to just skip and not buy it, period. Of course, Steve, my AD, would not like to hear me say that. He'd love to sell you a watch. But, yeah.
It's true, though. It's true.
Hey, Craig, I was thinking about getting a Steinhardt Ocean 39. How was the one you had? It wasn't bad, Brian. It was a pretty decent watch for the money. It really was. I wore it for a while. Yeah, if they still are as good as they were, I think it's for the money. I think it's a pretty cool watch. I mean, can it compete with a Rolex, Peter? In some ways, yes. Like like the Snowflake holds its value pretty good. It would be very similar to like buying a Datejust. You know, you might lose a small amount, but it's going to be pretty good. It might even hold its value a little better than a Datejust. But some of the hot Rolex models, like a Submariner, where you might be able to buy it and you might be able to actually flip it and make a profit, you're not going to be able to do that with a Grand Seiko. So it depends on the model and all that. But of course, you can't walk in and buy a Submariner either. So we're comparing apples to oranges, right? You can go in and buy a Grand Seiko diver. Generally speaking, you know, they're in stock. So it's a different situation. But get a good discount if you buy a GS. That way you're protecting yourself a little bit. Craig, would you consider buying a Platinum Royal Oak? Heck no. No, that's one ugly watch, the Royal Oak. I wouldn't buy a Royal Oak on a bet. I like the Rolex GMT Winner. Like if you got a Pepsi for retail, right, you could go and resell it and make some money, and I would highly suggest you do that if you can get your hands on one. I don't agree. GS hold their value more than a Panerai. They very well might, yeah. More than a Panerai, yeah. I wouldn't buy a Panerai on a bet either. Grand Seiko is getting more noticed. Yeah, I think it's because we're kind of talking about them. I think that's helping. Let's see here. Yeah, I think Grand Seiko are doing a lot better, and Steve has told me that he's selling a lot more watches in the last 10 months since I started doing the videos and so forth. He's told me he's sold a lot of watches, and he sold a lot of watches to people that said they've seen my shows and seen my videos. So
a lot of Grand Seiko is word of mouth and internet and Archie Luxury and
because they have no marketing at all. I mean, they are just totally clueless when it comes to marketing. Unlike Rolex, who they have their act together, right? Grand Seiko folks are absolutely, totally clueless. And I've talked to them. I've talked to the head honcho up in New Jersey, you know. I mean, and it's just mind-boggling to me how clueless they are. I mean, for example, if I was running Grand Seiko, I would send Archie a Snowflake. Archie acted like, you know, he wanted a Snowflake and he was kind of interested in blah, blah, blah. I would just straight up send him one and say, here, Archie, play with it for 6 months. That's what I would do.
And make videos.
They would sell a bunch of watches if he had one and was playing with it. I mean, let's face it, the guy's an influencer. Let's face it. He is. I mean, he's a crazy SOB, but, you know, he's an influencer. I would just straight up give him a watch. And I do that with several of the YouTubers out there, the high-profile YouTubers, right? But they're like, oh, no, we couldn't do something like that. Well, okay, you're not going to sell watches then, folks, because I guarantee you Rolex does it. You think that Roger Federer paid for any of those watches he has, those Rolexes?
No.
They pay him, and they give him the watches. That's the way that works.
And he advertises, and he probably sells enough of them that it makes it up.
He sells a ton of them, a ton of watches.
So it's worth it to them, that's for sure.
You get influencers to talk about your product, that's a big deal. You know, and that's the way it's done. And they don't get it. They're just totally freaking 100% clueless. And I can say that because they don't give me anything. They don't pay me anything, right? They should, but they sure as hell don't. So yeah, it's just word of mouth. That's the only way they're selling these watches. They're not selling it because of their aggressive marketing. I can tell you that right now. Archie is the worst person to give a watch to. He's gone nuts lately.
I don't think that's true. I mean,
But here's the thing, though. I guarantee you, if he did some videos about the Grand Seiko Snowflake and how cool it is, I guarantee you it would sell watches. I guarantee you it would.
sure.
I mean,
More people.
it just would. There are people that would just buy them just because he's talking about it and playing with it and so on. And you know, and you can say the guy's got a screw loose, he's a nutcase, you can say all kinds of things, but he is an influencer. I mean, my gosh, people pay him to do a review of their collection, for gosh sakes. I mean, you know, he just is. And there are other people like that as well. I mean, Just Blue Fish, he's a perfect example where he's an influencer, and he's talked about Grand Seikos. He doesn't own one at this point in time. He's talked about how he'd like to. I mean, you talk about telegraphing, right? I mean, he's, you know, now he would disclose that they sent him the watch, as well he should. But it doesn't matter. If he has the watch in his hand and he's talking about it and doing videos about it and saying how great it is, it's going to sell watches. I mean, that's just the way it is. So, let's see here. A lot of the guys will just go Swiss, Andrew says. Well, yeah, but a lot of people are starting to buy Grand Seikos. Steve has been selling a bunch of them, and the people and the feedback we're getting from people that are buying them has been very positive feedback. I mean, Blue's right here. He's had several, and he's got a gold stunner right now. And what do you think? Yeah. What do you think about the quality of that watch?
I've had several, and they've all been fantastic quality. But this gold stunner is just my favorite because it's made out of 18 karat.
And what about the dial on it?
And the dial is nice and clean, and they really put a lot of attention to detail.
It looks like brand new, doesn't it, that dial?
It does. I wonder when they made this particular.
It's about, on the paperwork you can see it's about, I think, about 10 years old.
Wow.
Did you see the signed crown on it?
Yeah.
The crown is stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Let's see, Craig, I have the opportunity to purchase a platinum dial Panerai for $70K. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I'd pass on that, yeah. People watch Archie because he's crazy. Yeah, it's like watching a train wreck. LOL, a Panerai for $70K, you might as well get a turn. People watch Archie for entertainment value. There you go. But I guarantee you he also influences people. I guarantee you he does. Archie has been in the luxury watch game long enough to wield the influence. There is no armchair speculating with him, Brian says. The Watch Lounge. What's up, everybody? Hey, Craig. Any watch suggestions to visit in Philly besides Govberg and the Abring Boutique? I'll be flying up there at the end of this month. Talk to Steve at Little Treasury Jewelers and see what he says. He might give you some suggestions. He travels around to all those places, so he might be able to give you. Talk to Steve. He's a good guy at Little Treasury Jewelers. He can give you some pointers on places to stop in. Good pawn shops in Philly. There you go. Grand Seiko is class, Andrew says. Archie is all Rolex or Patek. He's not informed. Yes, but he said some good things about Grand Seiko, and he's looked at a few. And like I say, if they could get him to be to start talking positive about it, that would be a big deal, I think. Craig, what's your opinion on Theo and Harris' business model of hyping up their mediocre Datejust watches to their audience? I like Datejust watches, and I like some of the vintage watches. Like if you could buy like an older Day-Date that's in really good condition, I don't think that's a bad move. I would try to get a good price on whatever you buy. and keep in mind that an older watch is going to have some issues or potentially have some issues. So you might have some service costs and so forth. So there are advantages and disadvantages to all this stuff. But if you could buy a one-owner, really nice vintage watch with box and papers that's in really good condition, they're great watches. And the stamped clasps and all that everybody, badmouths, they worked fine. They worked fine for me for many years. It's not a worry. I mean, if you bought an old GMT Master, for example, with the stamped clasp and all that, I mean, they work fine. Even my Date 8, the one that I had with the conventional clasp, had a stamped clasp, an 18-karat gold stamped clasp, but it was stamped. They're not. They're okay if you get a good one and get a good price. As far as hyping up, those kinds of watches and all, I mean, hey, if they're salespeople, they're salespeople. I mean, that's what they do, but that doesn't mean you have to buy it, and that doesn't mean you have to pay their price. You can shop elsewhere and get the best price you can get. Archie, see what you could do. What you could do with something like Theo and Harris is you could use them as a guideline. That let's say they had a nice steel and gold Datejust from like 1978 or something that looked really good to you and all that. Well, then shop around and see what others are around and see what the prices are like. Right? Shop them. Don't just take their word for it. And if their watch is a decent buy and you really like it, then go ahead and buy it from them. So it's not like they don't have competition out there. There's competition all over the place. So there's that. Seiko nearly brought the whole Swiss watch industry to its knees, and maybe that's why people who buy Swiss won't buy Grand Seiko. No, I mean, Rolex has done a fantastic job marketing that brand name, and that's why they buy them, because everybody knows them, and it's a luxury thing. It's got that cachet, right? And hey, I've got a Rolex. I mean, Grand Seiko doesn't have that, period, and will not have that because they're not spending the money to build that kind of cachet, and they're clueless. So all they know how to do is build a really good watch. They are clueless when it comes to marketing them. And so it will remain a niche item for those of us that really like quality and want the best. We'll be the ones that'll buy them. Everybody else that wants the Rolex name and the Rolex cachet will continue to buy Rolexes, and that's the majority of the market. And that's a mass-produced watch, and they can produce that kind of volume. Grand Seiko can't even produce that kind of volume. So it wouldn't do them any good to build that kind of brand anyway, because they wouldn't be able to supply the watches to start with. So it's a whole different thing. The two brands are totally different. I will be flying to Atlanta to visit the annual Blade Show, and I want to buy a GS for a good price. Since here in Europe taxes are high, any suggestions for me? If you want to buy one new, I would talk to Steve. He'll give you a deal if you mention my name. He'll negotiate with you. He'll give you a good deal if you want to buy one new. If you want to buy one used, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there aren't that many of them in the States here used. It's not. Most of them are in Japan. So Blue, you can continue to hang out if you want here, or you can go back into the chat, whatever you want to do. I don't want to make you sit there holding your phone all day.
That's okay. I'll join the gang on the chat.
Okay.
For a while.
Yeah, and wield that wrench if necessary.
I will. Thanks for the wrench.
Yeah, thanks for popping in.
No problem.
Enjoy that stunner.
I sure am.
That stunner is something else. The Archie Hulk. There you go. I'm just observing that they're influencers for their own products. Pretty unique. Are you talking about Theo and Harris? Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, they're salespeople. I mean, they're trying to sell watches. I don't think they make any bones about that. I mean, I think you'd have to be an idiot not to realize that's what they're doing. And Hodinkey's starting to do the same thing now. They're selling watches. I have no issue with Christian promoting his products. His view of Seiko is completely ridiculous, though. I don't know what his view of Seiko is. can I get a new snowflake for 4,500? I doubt it. No, I think you'd be lucky to get one for $5,000. You can try, Peter. I think you'd be lucky to get it for $5,000. So, Swiss snobs, collective heads will explode if Seiko were to buy Patek. Hello, everyone. Blue Ship Buddha's in the house with the wrench. Blue's back in the chat with the wrench. Does Seiko own Orient? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so. Where's my Clivers? I don't know where Clivers is. Let him know. He can come in. I invited him in, but he didn't come in. Maybe he doesn't like coming on my channel anymore. Nice to see you, Blue. Congrats on the gold stunner again, Thomas says. Congrats on the watch. Let's see here. I think Christian appreciates the romanticism of watches, and that's why he gravitates towards vintage dress watches. For some reason, Seiko doesn't do it for him. Well, here's the thing. Like, I've seen him show off, like, vintage day dates on a strap and date justs, either on the bracelet or on a strap, and so I mean, they're all great watches as everyday wear, beat around watches. You can get a date just for $2,000 on a bracelet in pretty decent shape. I mean, they're a good buy, relatively speaking, for a watch that you can wear pretty much in any kind of a circumstance. I could wear it with the French cuffs that I have on right now. So there's a lot to be said for those watches that he's talking about. I would rather have one of those than a sub with a maxi case. I mean, the maxi case is freaking ugly. I mean, I would certainly rather have a vintage Datejust. My first watch was a 1978 Datejust, all steel with an engine turn bezel. That was a fantastic first watch. So there you go. I just got here myself. Yes, Seiko owns Orient. However, they're independently. Yeah, okay. And I think Grand Seiko is pretty much independently run from Seiko. They don't really overlap that much, I don't think. And now they've got this whole separate division for the U.S. That is kind of operating, doing its thing here, a little bit unique from what they do in Japan. And they're starting to come out with the USA-only models and stuff like that. And so what do you guys think on the surgeon cuffs? Should I leave 2 buttons unbuttoned, or should I just leave 1 unbuttoned? I've got 2 unbuttoned on the watch side, and then I've got 1 unbuttoned over here. Okay. How many of these buttons should I leave unbuttoned? Does that look good? 2 on the watch side, and 1 on the non-watch side. Let me know what you think in the chat of what I should do about that. Let's see here. Clive must be busy hustling his car around Oklahoma. There you go. Maybe he's on the side of the road waiting for a jump start. I'm surprised he's had to put money into that car. That car probably wasn't very well maintained. I'll tell you what, if I bought a car like that, I'd want to get one that was just scary, that was super well maintained, that was garage kept, 1 owner. I'd rather pay more and get the really good one than get one that's a little bit marginal and then put a bunch of money into it, because you end up spending the same amount of money, right? And you've got a lesser car. I'd rather get the really nice cream puff car from Jump Street. It doesn't sound like that's what he got. So there's that. Same thing with a watch. You know, it's better to spend a little more and get the really good one that's been well cared for and that's, you know, got all the papers, box papers, receipt, 1 owner, all of that good stuff. Do you think T&H Shop is overpriced? I'm not sure. Love my Batman with maxi case. It sure as hell isn't ugly. Well, you know, the Batman, the case on the GMTs, I don't think is as ugly as the maxi case on the sub. You know, the sub is more squared off to the bracelet. I don't think the case on the GMTs is as bad. I know the Pepsi looks really good. So I'm primarily talking about the maxi case on the sub is just butt ugly. I don't think it's quite as ugly on the GMTs, but I'd have to take a closer look. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of those squared off. I'd much rather have an oyster case with the nice curved lines and all that. I'd sell that puppy, get out of that puppy, and get into something that's a little nicer case design. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on Hey Bring? I'm going to check out that Patek when I fly up to Philly. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Sorry. Do you think that GS will have room for potential since Spring Drive is relatively new? Do you think GS will have room for potential since Spring Drive is relatively new? Or is GS more of a niche and therefore... Oh, it's gonna remain a small market because there's a lot of handwork in those watches. They can't really mass produce them. And Spring Drive has been out for like 10 or 15 years now. I mean, it's not that new. Looks perfect the way you have it. To me, all buttoned. Okay, so Carlos says button them all. Craig, what's your opinion on Crador? Some of them look pretty cool. Some of them I don't like the cases on them much, so it depends on the watch. Craig, let us know your opinion on CRM Jewelers and Richard Mille. I wouldn't buy the Richard Mille stuff. I think it's all overhyped and overpriced, and I think a lot of the watches are just ugly. One unbuttoned on both sides. We got to vote for one unbuttoned on both sides. Credit is amazing with the enamel. Crador, I think you meant. Yeah, some of them are amazing. Most of the time, Toyotas are bulletproof, but when they go wrong, they really go wrong. See, that's why you want to get one that's been really well cared for and that's been maintained properly and preferably kept in the garage, away from the weather. Weather's not good on cars. I think the Batman is the only watch with the maxi case that I like. Yeah, I hear you. The Pepsi's fantastic too. Let's see here. I wish Rolex would use the case they use on the Pepsi on some other watches. I don't like the maxi case either. Makes the watch bigger than it is. It's not a question of making it look bigger. It just looks bad. I mean, the way it is squared off over to the bracelet, it just doesn't look good. I mean, they screwed the pooch before it looked fine. You go back 10, 15 years on the Submariners, the cases were fine. You go back 30, 35 years, they were even better. They had nice curves to them and stuff. The red sub that I sold my friend, Paul Falpel, it's got a beautiful case design on it. Why would you screw that up? There's no reason to screw that up. It's thinner and more curved. Patek over Panerai for sure. Oh my gosh, yes. Craig, what do you think about the Explorer 1 Mark II? I don't like the one with the short hands. You know, the short hands? So yeah, I'd get the one with the loom on the 3, 6, and 9, I guess. Right, it's got the longer hands. Exactly the same case as the Batman, only the holes for the spring bars are in different position. I have both. Okay. I find Richard Mille watches are really ugly. Yeah. Watch Lounge, Habring are really nice watches with handcrafted movements. Yeah, I don't need to buy a bunch of no-name watches and you know, I don't need that. I would buy a Rolex, but they are so bland. I don't know, a day-date's pretty not bland. Richard Mille is for all people in Miami who want to flaunt the fact that they have more money than sense. I hear you. The Yachtmaster has a beautiful curvy case. There you go. Now we're talking. Yeah, there are options out there, folks. They still make Rolexes with really good, attractive cases. The Day-Date. I mean, even the Daytona, which I wouldn't buy, but it has a decent case. I think the case on the Air King is pretty good. But if you get any of those watches with the Faraday cage for the anti-magnet, then that makes it thicker, right? So I'd probably just get a Datejust or an Oyster Perpetual without the date. That has a nice case on it. So there are a lot of good options out there that look fine and that you don't have to have that ugly factor. The bottom of the shoulders on the GMT are slightly more sloped than the sub, less fat. Well, there you go. That makes a difference. Makes a big difference. Oh, I can take these earbuds out. Need those things irritating me. There's no guest here. I think we're going to wrap it up. I think once again we've solved some of the world's problems, and they said only leave one unbuttoned, even on the watch side. Is that what they said? It's hard for me to button this with it on. It's not so easy, folks. There we go. Okay, so now we've got one unbuttoned on this side and one unbuttoned on that side. You guys think that's better? Just have one unbuttoned? Got to go later, guys. Blue Shirt Buddha's out of the house. And Craig, would you trade your GS Diver for a genuine Bob Loveless drop point hunting knife with micarta handles with some money added? No, I would not do that. I've got all the knives I need. And I carry my knife. I've got a Chris Reeves Sabenza that I carry. And I'm good. I'm good with that. I've got some other knives that I don't carry. So actually I got a bunch of knives around here. A bunch of Spydercos. But the two knives I carry are the Chris Reeves Sabenza and a Victorinox Scientist model. Those are the two that I actually carry on my person pretty much at all times. Let's see here. See you later, guys. Thanks, Craig. Okay. All right. We're going to wrap it up. And by the way, Monday night at 10, in case I don't do a show tomorrow, I might do a show tomorrow. I don't know yet. But Monday night at 10 is Cowgirls Live. Check it out. And Sarah was on the radio show with me this morning. I do a radio show every Saturday morning. And she was on the show with me. And we were talking about that movie that she mentioned, Walk, Ride, Rodeo. It's on Netflix now. I just watched it last night. It is really a fantastic movie. The name of it is Walk, Ride, Rodeo. And it's about a girl that did barrel racing, and she got seriously injured and basically paralyzed, but she made a comeback. And so it's really an exciting movie to watch. So check it out. It's called Walk, Ride, Rodeo. And Sarah and I talked about it on the radio show this morning, and I'm sure she'll talk about it on her show Monday night at 10 USA Eastern Time. Let's see. Sabenza is good. I own one, but Loveless is the real deal. Yeah, but that Sabenza is a great everyday carry knife. Craig, do you have a regular schedule for streaming? No, I don't. I just kind of do it when I can. I typically do it usually around 4 or 5 p.m. USA Eastern Time. because that way people in the UK can also watch. We've got a number of people in the UK that watch, and if I do it too late, it's then too late for them. So a lot of times I will do it at like 5 o'clock USA Eastern Time, but that's not guaranteed. If you subscribe to the channel and click on the little bell, you'll get a notification. That's the best bet. Click on that little bell. Let's see. I just came from Joy Goodman, the Time Tellers live stream, and he went on a rant against Maxi K Sub for being ugly. You aren't alone here, Craig. I think it's pretty obvious. I like the Spyderco. Yeah, I've got 2 Spydercos that I use a lot. I've got 2 Delicas. One has the longer is the longer. It's got like the 4-inch blade, I think, or 3-point-something-inch blade, and then the other one's the shorter, Delica 4, I guess they call it. Anyway, I've got 2 of them, and I love them. One's in my office at all times. I use it for like opening boxes and all that kind of stuff, and the other one's in the kitchen. I use it for some kitchen stuff. It's got the steel that's more resistant to corrosion, so I've got that one in the kitchen. They're both made in Japan. Both of mine are made in Japan. They have factories in the U.S. and in Japan and in China somewhere or whatever, but mine were both made in Japan, both of my Spydercos, the 2 that I actually use often. Yeah, they... Sometime I'll gather up some knives, and I'll have some knives here for a show, and we'll talk about some knives. We can do that. I got videos here on my channel for all of them, so just do keyword knife, and I got a bunch of knife reviews. I got a 10 best knives video, a bunch of stuff about knives. So, yeah, so I recommend Nothing Fancy, yeah. Yeah, I've been watching his... I don't watch him that much anymore, but years ago I used to watch his channel fairly regularly. Yeah, he knows his stuff. He really does know his stuff. All right, folks, let me get my phone here, and we're going to terminate this puppy so I can get something to eat. That's how that's going to work. Waiting for it to connect to my Video Pro. By the way, Steve got a Video Pro. Now the next thing is for him to get everything set up. It's not easy to do. He might have to come over here, and I might have to help him with setting it up. But he did get a Video Pro streaming box, so we'll see how that goes. Yes, knife review would be perfect. There you go. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll gather up some knives and talk about some knives. All right, let's stop this puppy. Thanks, everybody. Again, click the little bell so you get a notification next time.